Hello, class. Welcome to the Homeskoolin show. Little Tommy Bukovac. Somebody said I should say hello, class, instead of hello, lads, because maybe there is one or two ladies out there watching the show now that I'm up to over 20,000 subscribers. Thanks for that, by the way. I think that's pretty good, right? I don't know much about YouTube, but it seems like things are going well. You guys, thanks for telling your friends about my little show here. Man, you might have noticed I didn't do one yesterday. Yesterday was like the first day that the full-on COVID depression set in on me. I've been doing pretty good up until then, keeping my chin up and all that. But man, yesterday I was in a foul mood all day. I eventually just told Sarah I'm just gonna get in the car and just go for a long drive. Drive to nowhere. And I did, man. It was actually really good. I called a few friends, had a few laughs, and I listened to Yes, Close to the Edge record. And that really seemed to help. I'm doing much better today. Thank you for your concern. Speaking of the Close to the Edge record, when's the last time you guys listened to that? I mean, how about that 2-minute tirade that Steve Howe goes off on in the intro of Close to the Edge? That's some of the most ferocious guitar playing I've ever heard in my entire life. You guys check that out. The opening bit. It's just an onslaught of guitar. I mean, one day, I'm going to learn that. One day if I ever have a lot of time, like if I was in quarantine or something. Oh, wait. No, but that's amazing. Check that out. And I think one of the reasons I was so bummed yesterday, because I was thinking about the future of sessions, in Nashville. People are starting to get back to work here, and the studios have had to come up with these protocols for people to stay safe, in the COVID madness. You hear them up there? They're having a ball. So I got this email I just wanted to read a bit just to show you how weird this all is about the biggest, most well-respected studio in Nashville, Blackbird Studio, which is owned by my dear friend Johnny McBride. They sent out this email to all the people that might work there yesterday. I'll read it to you. It says, COVID-19 protocol. Our studio services team would like to inform you about current protocol in the fight against the spread of COVID-19. There are some requests and steps we have in place to keep the facility as safe as possible for your visit. Clients, visitors, and staff, please stop by the front desk, sign in, and have your temperature taken upon entry to the facility. Please make sure a staff member gets it on file. Masks must be worn at all times while you're on the property. Vocalists, remove masks while singing, but replace them exiting the ISO rooms. Mics and gear are monitored and cleaned before and after all sessions. Practice physical social distancing of 6 feet at all times. Please use our provided hand sanitizer as needed. Wipe down counters, faucet handles. There will be no runners. Runners are the people that go and get stuff for you at the studio, like food and stuff. And for me, Rolling Rock. And it says there's going to be no coffee or anything that's shared, right? No coffee, drinks, or snacks. I mean, we have to have masks on the whole time when we're playing. How weird is that going to be? Wow. Weird times, people. But that's all right. We're going to get through it. I got some hot stuff in the viewer comment bin. One guy said, hey, Tom, what kind of theory background do you have in music? You guys heard me talk about my street theory thing where I can't read music or notation or anything like that. And there's times when I wish I could, there have been a few instances in my life when I feel like that might have hurt me. But very rarely, I've been on a couple sessions where people busted out some crazy notation and I just panicked, But I got through it. I don't know how, but I did. But, most of the theory that I know is just from hanging around other musicians and asking questions. I learned all my chords and the notes that make up the chords. I think that's a big part of it, right? The recipes for chords, right? Like a B minor 7, There's 4 notes in that chord, right? It's just, you just got to learn what those recipes are. to make up all the chords. That helps a lot. And know your notes on the neck, like I told you guys a million times. People have asked me about like the cage system and modes and stuff, and I mentioned this previously. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. I really don't. Just tell me what key we're in, tell me what the chords are, and I'll be right there with you, okay? But, you know, I don't know. I think if I lived in LA and I was trying to do movie dates and film scoring and stuff, I would definitely have to read music, but it's not like that around here in Nashville. People just want you to play a good old country song most of the time. And I can do that just fine. Let's see, what else we got here? A lot of people were saying that they got a lot out of that thing I did a couple videos ago with the hand bouncing, you know, the muting technique. Let me turn off all these effects and show you something. All my pedals, my talent boxes. Like, I did that loop in 2 tracks, but here, if you wanted to just do it in one part, check it out. You could bounce the bass notes and achieve the same effect, right? I do this a lot. You can bounce those bass notes like that. Just B minor to F sharp minor. That's the whole loop I was playing. But that's a cool effect, and you know, obviously you can use it for the boogie woogie stuff and all that, you know. But I like that effect with the bouncing strings. Glad you guys are getting something out of that. That's cool. What else we got here? I was going to talk a little bit about the hardest thing in all of guitar, in my opinion. Tuning. Tuning is, I could do like probably 10 volumes of this show on tuning, but I'll just get into some precursory stuff because it's just so damn hard to get a guitar in tune. Oh Lord, it's been the bane of my existence. I mean, I can't tell you how many inspired studio performances I've had ruined by tuning. You know, like a piano player can get away with murder because they go in there and play, and if the piano's out of tune, all they got to do is say, oh man, this piano's out of tune. See, we can't do that. Guitar players, we have to get in tune. And it's so hard because it's such an imperfect instrument. You know, you guys have heard all that, you know. But, you know, people have asked me a lot about guitar setups and how do I get guitars intonated. I'm pretty picky about all that stuff. You know, the intonation of a guitar is very important. But, you know, here's like a real simple thing that I probably should tell you guys about. Like, when you know, a lot of guys will tune like this, right? That is I could never do that. That does not work for me at all. When I'm tuning the guitar by ear, I use fourths and fifths. I go, and then I go. That's a little loud. That's how I tune, using, because I think you can hear the, you know, the out of tune stuff better when you're comparing the fourths and the fifths. You know, I like to watch different guitar players tune instruments. Like some people are really good at it. Like Vince Gill, for example, is amazing at tuning a guitar by ear. And it is not easy to get a guitar exactly in tune, but just by ear. You should see him tune a guitar. It's a thing of beauty. He just sits there, plays for a minute, and then he just starts doing that fourth and fifth thing that I just mentioned, and it's just, he gets it right in tune. He's got such a great ear, you know. And like the thing with the tuning, you know, it's like there's so many people in the studio world, the guys that I work for and stuff, that are so picky about the tuning. It makes you crazy after a while, you know. Like these people have such good ears, and like if something's just a little bit out, it drives them up a wall, man. And it's like it's just really, you got to be very conscious of it. But then you also can't let it kill your playing. You know, you got to play with ferocity and passion, but then you also have to worry about being in tune at the same time. It's very hard. It's very hard to do. But I don't know. Like I started out when I was a kid, you know, playing in bar bands and stuff with one of these guys. You remember these? I mean, this is all I used for years, you know. I was so good at using this thing. It's got like a dial where you pick what string you're on, and I could just do it in the dark. Just flip right to the D, right to the B. And you know, now we got all these crazy digital tuners, you know, which are way better, I think, probably. But then you got to deal with like capos and like people, like when you put a capo on a guitar, you have to retune it. A lot of people don't seem to know that. It's like if you're a singer-songwriter and you're up there doing your song, you put a capo on the 4th fret, you should definitely retune that guitar, because a lot of these capos that you find will squeeze the strings too hard and the bass strings go sharp, you know what I mean? But you know, one of the things that I've studied a lot is like good and bad out of tune, because there is such a thing. You know, records, like old records, you'll hear stuff sometimes that's out of tune on a record, but it just sounds amazing. Like a couple things that pop into my head, like flute solo on California Dreamin' by Mamas and Papas. Totally out of tune, but it sounds amazing. Or like the verse vocal bits of Everybody Wants to Rule the World by Tears for Fears. Listen to that. Totally out of tune, but it sounds amazing, you know? Dreamweaver by Gary Wright, I always thought was like, the vocal was out of tune the whole time, but it just sounds incredible, right? So just because it's out of tune doesn't mean it sounds bad, right? But there is a sort of bad out of tune, right? And I've been trying to figure out what that is. Like, I've been goofing with different tunings of a 12-string acoustic to try to find ways to detune it where it sounds like really musical and pleasant. And I'm still, there's no science to it. I don't know. It perplexes me, you know. But you know, also too, the records that people are making these days are so perfect, and everything is like gridded with the Pro Tools, and everything is so in tune that if you have just one instrument that's out of tune, it's going to sound completely out of place. On the old records, you know, the 70s, people would sit around the piano and tune to the piano by ear, and there would be like a very wide range of tuning all around that, you know, amongst all the instruments. But that creates that beautiful natural chorusing effect that it just sounds amazing, right? I remember one time, I've always wanted to make a record, you know, in the studio with no tuners, just to see what would happen. Just make all the guys tune by ear to the piano, just to see if it would give it that big, wide 70s, you know, sound. And I remember one time I talked to this producer guy that I was working with, and I said, man, let's do that. Let's make a record with no tuners, right? He's like, great, man, that'll be fun. So I show up at the session with no tuner, nothing like that. A bunch of just old, you know, gear, retro stuff. And then I look around and everybody's got their full cartridge rigs with all their tuners and everything. And I go, dude, I thought we were supposed to do this old school with no tuners. He goes, I forgot. So one day I'm going to do that just to see what it sounds like. That would be fun. What else we got? I think that's it for today. Oh, I'll tell you one last thing about tuning, okay? And then I'll shut up, because I don't want to go too long. This part of the guitar, the nut, that's the most important thing for tuning. I mean, if this nut isn't filed just right, and it's not dead on, you're never going to be in tune. The tuners never have anything to do with the tuning of a guitar. Like I see people change their tuners on a guitar thinking it's going to help tuning. It's like 99% of the time the tuners have nothing to do with the guitar going out of tune. It's always the nut that causes problems. See, what happens is like, say you play an open string and you got it, you know, dead in tune on the tuner. And then you should be able to push down and bend behind the nut and let it go, and it should return back to that exact pitch. You know, and if it doesn't, that means that the string is being bound up in the nut, and that's where you get all your tuning problems, man. It's so common. I mean, even a lot of really good guitar setup guys forget to check that. And of course, you got to use the graphite or the pencil lead or whatever to make it, or file it even better to make it so the strings are moving through that nut real freely, you know. And Once you got that nut right, and you got a decent bridge on the guitar with the intonation set right, you're golden, you know? And you also just have to watch your playing, right? If you're a beginner or an intermediate. I don't use jumbo frets or anything like that. I use pretty smallish frets, like 42 thousandths tall is what I really like, because if they're too tall, I'll find myself pushing down too hard between the frets and everything goes sharp, right? So you got to be careful not to bend strings when you're playing chords. I see a lot of guys do that. They'll go to play a chord and they'll like bend one of the notes, and it's like, no, dude, no. You got to make sure all your notes are not being bent at all in any chord, right? You can't be all like, you can't do that. And then just don't play too hard, right? Because if you start strangling the guitar, everything's out of tune. And you go to do a track of power chords or something like that, you know, with a big, you know, tone, you're like, you know, like flogging that low E so hard that it goes sharp. You gotta be careful. That kind of thing. That make any sense? Okay, guys. I'll see you again tomorrow, okay? Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Bye.